What if I told you this video found you? Not the other way around. Sounds mysterious, right? But maybe it's more real than you think. There are moments in life when it feels like the universe, God, or some higher power reaches through the noise of the world, taps you on the shoulder and whispers, "Pay attention." These aren't just coincidences, they're divine appointments. A spirit warrior recently shared a story. They were up at 3 a.m., lost in a haze of scrolling, when this video appeared out of nowhere. They weren't searching for it, it found them. And what did they hear? It was exactly what their soul had been crying out for. That's not luck, that's alignment, that's frequency. You see, we live in a universe that operates on energy and vibration. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything, your thoughts, your emotions, your spirit emits a frequency. And when that frequency aligns with truth, truth doesn't hide. It comes knocking. That's why you're here right now. You didn't just click on a random video. You resonated with a spiritual signal you didn't even realize you were sending. That's divine synchronization. That's how the universe speaks. Not always with thunder or visions, but through perfectly timed moments that feel too meaningful to ignore. So why now? Why you? Because your energy is vibrating on a higher level, you're shifting, you're awakening, you're starting to see beyond the illusion, beyond the distractions, beyond what the world told you to believe about yourself. And this video, it's not just content, it's a confirmation, a signpost, a message from the divine that you are right where you need to be. You're not broken, you're becoming, you're not lost, you're being redirected, you're not alone, you're being guided. As Lao Tzu wisely said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And maybe this message is your teacher today, because we're about to go deep into something that many sense but few understand. The hidden spiritual frequencies chosen ones radiate. These frequencies are real, measurable, and powerful. They shift atmospheres, they attract certain experiences, they awaken people around you, even when you're silent. These energies are not magic tricks, they're rooted in ancient wisdom, quantum understanding, and spiritual truth. Stay with us, because by the time we're done, you won't just understand why this video found you. You'll understand we're going to explore 7 powerful spiritual frequencies that chosen ones emit, and how the universe, people, and even unseen forces respond when they sense that energy. This is more than information, it's transformation. So let's go deep, let's stay real, and let's wake up together. The journey begins now. Point 1, you emit a frequency of truth that disrupts illusion. Spirit warrior, something shifted the moment you stopped following the crowd and chose to follow your calling. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was powerful. That quiet decision activated a kind of spiritual sonar within you, a divine radar that detects truth beneath performance, alignment beneath appearance, and energy beneath words. Suddenly, the world looked different. You weren't just hearing what people said, you were feeling what they meant. You stopped being fooled by pretty packaging and started reading vibration. That's not paranoia, that's discernment. And that alone makes you a threat to the matrix. Let's break it down. Your energy became incompatible with illusion. You no longer entertain gossip, surface-level connections, or systems built on exploitation and fear. You question what others accept. You walk away when others conform. In psychology, this is called differentiation of self, the ability to stand in your own truth without being emotionally hijacked by groupthink. Spiritually, it's ascension. You've moved from survival mode to soul mission. And those still plugged into the matrix, they feel your shift even if they can't explain it. You become a mirror, reflecting their avoidance, exposing their distractions, reminding them of the inner work they've postponed. Ever noticed how people either cling to you or become weirdly defensive around you? That's not a coincidence. Your energy either uplifts or disrupts. There's no in between. You carry a frequency that recalibrates rooms. Some are drawn to your authenticity because it resonates with a truth they've forgotten. Others recoil because your presence interrupts their performance. That discomfort they feel around you, that's not your problem. That's their invitation to evolve. But instead of taking it, they might criticize you, mock you, or distance themselves from you. That's okay. The Spirit Warrior's path was never about popularity. It's about purpose. The more you wake up, the more you notice the glitches in the program. You see how society rewards obedience over consciousness, how spiritual bypassing, using love and light to ignore deep pain, is rampant, how people preach truth but live in fear. You can't unsee it, and you're not supposed to, because you're not here to play along, you're here to call it out. That doesn't mean you're judgmental, it means you're awake. There's a difference. Awakening is not an aesthetic, it's an energetic disruption. Your presence alone helps dismantle systems of control. You don't need a stage, a microphone, or a million followers. The real work happens in the energetic field. Every time you choose integrity over approval, honesty over comfort, and stillness over chaos, you shift the frequency. You are the glitch in the false narrative, the proof that another way is not only possible but already happening. Every boundary you hold, every shadow you transmute, and every truth you embody sends out ripples. That's quantum, that's real impact. Spirit warrior, you weren't made to blend in, you were built to break cycles. So yes, your presence will trigger it, your silence will speak volumes, your walk will expose their talk. That's the role of the awakened. You're not here to convince anyone, you're here to be. And in being, you unravel lies that have held others hostage for lifetimes. Keep walking in truth, keep disrupting peacefully. The matrix hates what it can't control, but the universe expands with every step you take. Point 2, you attract divine timing like a magnet. Ever notice how things in your life never seem to unfold by the book, but still they somehow fall perfectly into place? That's not luck, spirit warrior. That's alignment. That's divine orchestration at work. While the world rushes to check boxes and meet deadlines, you move by a rhythm that can't be found on a clock. Time bends for the chosen ones, not because you're entitled, but because you're entrusted. Your life isn't being driven by coincidence, it's driven by cosmic coordination. God's schedule doesn't run on man's clock. What most people see as delays, those missed flights, postponed opportunities, and doors slammed shut, are actually divine interventions. To the untrained eye, it might look like life is punishing you, but in reality, spirit warrior, you're being redirected, not rejected. There's a reason certain relationships didn't blossom. There's a reason that job didn't work out. You weren't being denied, you were being protected and repositioned. Sometimes being late for what you thought was your blessing means arriving right on time for what heaven knows is yours. And this is where the frustration of others creeps in, because on paper you shouldn't be where you are. On paper you didn't have the connections, the resources, or the perfect background. Yet somehow you keep winning. Doors open. Help arrives. Timing aligns. Why? Because you're not tuned to society's frequency. You're dialed into something higher. You don't chase opportunities, you attract divine encounters. When others are calculating how to get ahead, you're being led. While they stress and scramble, your soul is at peace because you know everything is unfolding for you, not to you. Spirit warriors live with what scientists call optimistic attributional style, a mindset studied in positive psychology. It means you view setbacks as temporary and meaningful, not permanent and personal. But yours goes deeper. It's not just optimism, it's divine trust. You sense purpose in pain, you see lessons in limbo. And that's rare. That kind of mindset rattles people. It makes them uncomfortable because they're still waiting for life to happen according to their plan. But your existence challenges the very idea of control. They can't understand how you glide through storms. They can't even walk through, how you smile after setbacks, how you rise without rage, how your peace doesn't shake even when your path isn't clear. That's because your peace doesn't come from circumstance, it comes from source. You're not walking blindly, you're being guided. And that confuses people who are constantly trying to force outcomes instead of trusting divine timing. It's why the gossip flares when your blessings show up out of nowhere. It's why some folks get real quiet when they realize you were right to wait. Because your life becomes a living sermon. You don't have to preach a word. Your patience, your alignment, and your favor do the talking. It proves that unseen forces move for those who stay faithful, even when nothing makes sense. So no, you're not behind. You're not unlucky. You're not being punished. You're on appointment-only time. And Spirit Warrior, that means everything in your journey is right on schedule. Let the world panic over late starts and missed chances. You just keep listening to that quiet voice inside. Because every time you surrender to it, something sacred happens. You're reminded favor isn't rushed, miracles aren't microwaved, and divine timing, it never loses a second. Point 3, animals, children, and strangers gravitate toward you instantly. Let's be real, your energy is just built different, Spirit Warrior. You walk into a room and before you've even said a word, the air shifts. People glance over like they've sensed something ancient, something holy, something familiar. Babies stare at you like you've got stardust dripping off your eyelashes. Stray animals, they gravitate to you like you were their owner in a past life. And strangers in the most random places, grocery aisles, airport lines, cafe counters, suddenly start unloading their life stories like you're their personal therapist. You didn't ask, but their spirit did, because something in you triggers something in them. You're not imagining this. There's a deep spiritual science behind it. Your aura, yes, that electromagnetic field surrounding your body, is lit up like a beacon. And not just any light, it's the frequency of safety, authenticity, and remembrance. That frequency is rare in a world addicted to performance and pretense. Most people don't even know why they're drawn to you, but their soul does. Their subconscious remembers the frequency of truth, healing, and sacred connection. And when someone like you shows up, someone whose spirit hasn't been dimmed by the chaos of the world, it wakes something up inside them. In the language of energy, you carry what mystics call a soul signature. It's like a spiritual thumbprint, completely unique to you, shaped by lifetimes of wisdom, pain, ascension, and divine assignments. And when others come into contact with that signature, even for a second, their spirit starts flipping through pages of forgotten truths. They may not remember you, but they remember what you awaken in them. That's why they can't look away. That's why they overshare. That's why they cry when you hug them. Because your presence gives them permission to feel safe in their own skin. Science even backs this up. Studies in quantum physics and bioenergetics show that heart energy can be detected up to 3 feet outside the body and even beyond. Your heart literally emits an electromagnetic field that influences the nervous systems of people around you. When you operate from a grounded, spiritually aligned place, your energy tells others you're safe here, you're seen here. And most people haven't felt that in years, maybe ever. This is why people either love you instantly or get weirdly triggered by you. Your vibration is a mirror. For the healed, it reflects beauty and possibility. For the unhealed, it reflects everything they've buried. And that contrast, it can be uncomfortable. Some people will try to dim your light not because you've harmed them, but because your light exposes their own shadow. But Spirit Warrior, that's not your burden to carry. You're not here to shrink. You're here to shine. You're not here to fit in, you're here to activate. This energy, this frequency, this magnetism, it's all part of your spiritual mission. You've been marked since before birth to be a reminder to this world that God still moves through people. You don't need a pulpit or a platform. Just existing in your truth is your ministry. You carry codes, your laugh carries healing, your eye contact carries truth, your stillness carries ancient knowledge, and let's not forget, the reason animals and children react so strongly to you is because they don't lie. They feel energy without filter. They're not looking at your clothes, your car, or your status. They're reading your frequency. And when they cling to you, when they follow you around or stare at you with big, unblinking eyes, it's because they found home. They found light. They found you. So the next time someone says, "I don't know what it is about you," just smile. Because you do know, you're a spirit warrior. You carry the light of 1,000 ancestors, the wisdom of the stars, and the memory of who we really were before the world made us forget. Keep shining, keep walking in truth, because your very presence is changing lives without you even trying. Point 4. Your isolation was actually spiritual calibration. Raise your hand if you've ever walked through a season where nobody saw you, like truly saw you. You were overlooked, left out, misread, and even judged. Spirit Warrior, that wasn't coincidence, that wasn't punishment, that was preparation. You were being set apart so you could be set above. Your isolation wasn't random, it was sacred. You weren't being exiled, you were being elevated in silence. Here's the spiritual truth most people don't talk about. Before any great assignment comes an intense alignment. And alignment often requires isolation. Think about it. When soldiers are in training, they're pulled away from the crowd. Athletes go into intense focus mode before a major competition. Even Jesus withdrew to the wilderness before his ministry began. That's not by accident, that's divine design, because God never sends untrained warriors into battle. He hides his strongest ones, you, during training season. While others were chasing applause, you were wrestling with purpose. While they were glued to distractions, you were unplugging from illusions. The very silence that once made you feel invisible was actually the perfect condition for divine downloads. Your soul was being rewired, your mind was being renewed, your spirit was being strengthened. And in that solitude, you learned how to hear God's voice, not the crowd's, not your critics, not even your own fears. That's a level of clarity no trend can offer. And now, Spirit Warrior, something wild is happening. People are starting to notice. That same glow they once ignored, it's blinding now. You're walking with a calm power, an unshakable peace, and they can't figure it out. Why does your presence feel different? Because it is. You've been calibrated to your spiritual frequency. You no longer vibrate in confusion, insecurity, or desperation. You've tuned into something higher, truth, purpose, destiny. Let's talk facts. Psychologists have long studied the concept of post-isolation transformation. What did they find? People who undergo extended solitude often emerge more self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and spiritually grounded. Neurologically, your brain begins to rewire during long periods of silence, literally strengthening areas responsible for insight, intuition, and resilience. Spiritually, this is called refining by fire. That sacred solitude burned off what wasn't you, so what remained could be who you truly are. No, you weren't crazy. You were being consecrated, you weren't falling apart, you were falling into alignment, you weren't being left behind, you were being called forward. But see, the calling always costs something. Rejection, misunderstanding, and loneliness were part of your tuition. And baby, you paid in full. So now that you're stepping into your light, don't be surprised when people try to re-enter your orbit with shaky hands and selective memory. Some will pretend they always believed in you. Others will ask how you did it. But Spirit Warrior, you owe no one a presentation. Your elevation is the explanation. Stand tall in your anointing. Walk proudly in your purpose. And never forget, God doesn't just pick the polished. He chooses the prepared. And preparation? That's what that lonely season was all about. You didn't lose time. You gained power. So when the world starts whispering, where did they come from? Let them wonder. The answer is simple. You came from the secret place, and now you're unstoppable. Point 5, you get downloads in the most random moments. Washing dishes, boom, clarity drops in like a lightning bolt. Not because you're trying to meditate over soapy water, but because Spirit Warriors are always on. Driving down the highway with your playlist on shuffle, bam, out of nowhere a memory unlocks, and suddenly you're downloading guidance straight from source. It's not loud, flashy, or filled with thunderclaps. It's not always some mountaintop burning bush moment. Most of the time it's subtle, fluid, whispered between heartbeats. But here's the wild part. It's accurate. While others are out here begging the universe for a sign, you're out here getting spiritual downloads mid-toothbrush. That's because your spirit is tuned in like a high-frequency antenna. You don't need permission or ritual to connect. You are the connection. While others fumble for Wi-Fi, you are the router. Your consciousness is broadband, multidimensional, and constantly syncing with something higher than yourself. That's the thing about Spirit Warriors. We don't wait for visions, we live in vision. Science calls it heightened intuition or hypersensitive perception. But let's call it what it is, spiritual intelligence. Your nervous system is deeply attuned, picking up on nonverbal cues, energetic shifts, and the emotional coding beneath words. You're not just listening to people, you're decoding their soul while they talk. Someone could be rambling about their job, and you already know they're suffocating in self-betrayal. They could be smiling at you, and your gut is already warning, mask alert. You don't just see the surface, you see the subtext. This isn't imagination or paranoia. Studies in neuroscience back up that empathic, spiritually attuned individuals often display stronger mirror neuron activity, meaning you literally feel what others feel, sometimes before they do. Your random thoughts aren't random, they're intuitive intelligence slipping past the logical gatekeeper. And this is where your power becomes misunderstood. See, most people assume divine messages come like Hollywood scenes, dramatic light beams, angelic choirs, and booming voices. But for Spirit Warriors, the most sacred downloads come wrapped in silence, a whisper while folding laundry, a knowing while watering plants. And yes, it freaks people out. They can't figure out how you know what you know. You can't explain how that feeling in your chest told you not to trust someone. And then boom, truth comes to light. They think you're reading into things too much. But then your predictions hit like spiritual GPS. Prophets were never meant to be predictable. You didn't sign up for applause, you signed up for truth. This is why your presence makes people nervous. Not because you're loud or confrontational, but because your clarity exposes confusion. You walk into a room and without saying a word, people feel seen. And that's terrifying for someone who's hiding. The energy you carry doesn't just enter a space, it activates it. That's stillness. It's not emptiness, it's data. Your silence has been weaponized by Source. It listens when others lie, it observes when others pretend, it picks up what's not being said. That's spiritual technology right there, built into your body, your bones, and your breath. And the most ironic part, you never asked for it. You didn't go looking for this gift. It found you. You were chosen. Initiated through pain, molded in solitude, and sharpened by spiritual warfare, most couldn't survive. Your ability to receive truth through the ordinary is your divine signature. So next time someone calls you weird or says you're too intense, smile. Let them stay on the surface level while you navigate soul depths with ancient precision. You're not trying to be spooky, you just see what others ignore. You feel what others bury. You sense what hasn't even been spoken yet. You are the prophet in plain clothes, the receiver of silent wisdom, a walking, breathing satellite dish of divine frequencies. And while others are refreshing timelines for updates, you already got the download. Because spirit warriors don't wait for signs. We become them. Point 6. Your energy shifts rooms without saying a word. Walk in, say nothing, watch the atmosphere bend. Now that's not arrogance, spirit warrior, it's alignment. It's what happens when your energy walks 5 seconds ahead of you and is 10 feet tall. When your soul is in harmony with divine purpose, you don't need to make grand entrances. You don't need to declare who you are. Your presence already did. There's a frequency you carry that doesn't demand attention, it commands respect. This is what people don't understand about spiritual power. Real power doesn't scream. It whispers, it glows, it radiates in silence. The strongest ones don't fight to be seen. They can't be unseen. The atmosphere around them rearranges itself. People's voices drop, eyes shift. Some folks sit up straighter while others shrink. That's spiritual physics. Your energy acts like a mirror. It shows people who they are when they're standing next to truth. Because you're not just walking into a room, you're walking in with years of healing, with prayers still echoing in the spirit realm, with angels trailing behind you like quiet bodyguards. You carry wisdom you didn't read, you remembered, light you didn't fake, you fought for. That's why your silence hits harder than some people's speeches. That's why people either lean in or lean away. Some love it. Others feel convicted. That's okay, that's expected. Your light won't always comfort people. Sometimes it confronts them, especially those still living in shadows they've convinced themselves are home. Your clarity reveals their confusion. Your peace highlights their chaos. You didn't come to make everyone feel safe. You came to awaken what's asleep. You came to be light. And light exposes, it cleanses, it activates. So the moment you step in, people might say, there's something about you. They're right, that something is divine frequency. It's your alignment with who God made you to be. Scientifically, everything vibrates. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your intentions, they all create an electromagnetic field around your body. What ancient mystics called aura, modern science calls biofield energy. And when you've done the inner work, that field becomes undeniable. You don't just walk into rooms, you shift them. That's why some folks will project. They'll get irritated by your peace. They'll mock your confidence. They'll whisper about your silence, but don't flinch, don't shrink. Their discomfort is not your cue to hide. It's your confirmation to shine. When people feel uneasy in your presence without you saying a word, that's not your fault. That's their soul recognizing it's overdue for alignment. And here's the trap you must avoid. Dimming your light to make others comfortable in their shadows. Don't you dare dull down your fire just to be relatable. Don't pretend to be confused just to fit in with the lost. You weren't built for background noise. You were crafted for divine disruption. Your voice was coded with truth. Your walk is encrypted with purpose. When you start to glow, don't apologize, illuminate. When they squint in your brilliance, don't step back, stand taller. Every time you silence yourself to avoid making others uncomfortable, you dishonor the divine in you. You silence the God in you. Remember, spirit warrior, you are a vessel of the Most High. You carry the frequency of heaven. That's not just poetic, it's real. According to quantum biology, your DNA emits light, biophotons. Literally, you shine on a cellular level. So when someone tells you you're too much, translate that as, I haven't met someone this real in a while. You're not here to blend in. You're here to break patterns. You're not here to soften your shine. You're here to set others on fire. You don't walk into rooms for approval. You walk in on assignment. And if your presence shakes things up, good, that means you're doing your job. Light was never meant to be subtle. It was meant to shine. So walk in, say nothing, watch the atmosphere bend, and remember, the darkness never hated the light. It feared what it would reveal. Point 7. You're awakening others without even trying. Chosen one, let's talk about the kind of transformation that doesn't come with trumpets or applause. The type of elevation that happens in silence, in secret, in the shadows. While the world was scrolling, bragging, and watching others rise, you were buried deep in spiritual soil. No flashy declarations, no watch me glow up captions. Just you, God, and a whole lot of pain that no one clapped for. But guess what? That was the real miracle in motion. You were never seeking validation, only alignment. See, people forget how seeds work. They think growth is instant, visible, and glamorous. But a seed has to push through dirt, fight through pressure, survive darkness, and rely on divine timing. That was you. You weren't stagnant. You were being rooted. You were studying sacred texts, meditating while everyone else slept, fasting in secret, and doing shadow work that most people avoid their entire lives. That's not luck. That's spiritual warfare training. That's what makes a chosen one different. You weren't trying to impress the world. You were preparing to impact it. And now you're blooming, quietly, confidently, and unapologetically. People are finally noticing you, but what they don't see is the 3 a.m. breakdowns, the tears you wept when no one answered your call, and the prayers that felt like whispers to an empty sky. They missed the part where you wrestled with your demons, forgave people who never apologized, broke generational curses without support, and healed from wounds you didn't ask for. And yet, they chalk it up to good vibes or a lucky break. But we both know better. This isn't luck. This is divine orchestration. This is grace in full bloom. Grace that covered you while you were overlooked. Grace that kept you sane when your spirit was under attack. Grace that turned your private suffering into public strength. And let's not forget, grace isn't passive, it's powerful. It carries a frequency that transforms rooms and convicts' hearts without you saying a word. People expect transformation to come with noise, but yours came with stillness. You let God be your PR team. You let consistency speak louder than performance. You didn't chase platforms, you became one. You're not a trend, you're a testimony, and the most mind-blowing part, you're just getting started. So don't get distracted by their confusion. They'll try to minimize your glow because they weren't around when you were just a sprout. They didn't see the pruning, so they can't understand the harvest. Let them keep guessing. Meanwhile, you keep growing. Chosen ones don't need to explain the favor on their lives. It's written in their presence, in their peace, and in their persistence. Remember, you're not here to convince anyone. You're here to remind them what faith looks like in motion. And when people witness the quiet force that is your transformation, don't be surprised if they suddenly start treating you like a mystery they can't solve. That's the mark of someone truly anointed. So rise, bloom, and walk in your assignment. The ones who get it will honor it. The rest will gossip. Either way, your grace speaks louder than any rumor ever will. You weren't designed to blend in, spirit warrior. You were born to stand out. And yes, that often means walking a path few understand. But hear this. Your calling is not a conference call. It wasn't meant for mass approval. That burning inside you, the knowing that there's more, is not a flaw. It's divine design. When people call you too much, it's often because your light exposes what they've kept hidden. And when they whisper behind your back, it's not a reflection of your truth. It's a reaction to your anointing. Your spirit carries a frequency that disrupts the ordinary and activates the extraordinary. Scientific studies in quantum physics even confirm that everything operates on vibration and frequency, including human thought and emotion. So when you choose to live in alignment with your divine purpose, you actually elevate your energy field. This shift doesn't go unnoticed. It changes how people respond to you, how opportunities find you, and how divine favor flows through you. That's not arrogance, it's spiritual alignment. You are not crazy, you are not too intense, you are not too much. You are calibrated to heaven's frequency in a world that's often out of tune. Jesus himself was misunderstood, criticized, and rejected by the very people he came to save. So it's no surprise when those around you mock your obedience or try to reduce your fire to fanaticism. But don't dim your light to make others comfortable. Stay bold, stay awake, stay obedient. Obedience is the ultimate expression of trust, and trust is the bridge that connects the natural to the supernatural. When you obey God's promptings, even when they make no logical sense, you open the door for miracles. History shows us that every major move of God started with one obedient person who dared to defy fear, ridicule, and logic. Think of Noah, who built a massive ark under a clear sky, or Esther, who risked her life for her people with nothing but faith and favor. These weren't just Bible stories, they were spiritual blueprints. Let others sleep. You've got kingdom work to do. Your assignment isn't waiting for applause, it's waiting for your yes. And if this message stirred something deep in your spirit, that's confirmation. Your soul recognized the truth before your mind could catch up. You're on the right frequency, and your obedience is tuning you even closer to God's voice. So declare it boldly in the comments, I'm on God's frequency. Don't keep this light to yourself. Share it with another spirit warrior who needs the reminder that they're not alone in the fire, because chosen ones don't walk by sight, we walk by faith. Until next time, stay powerful, stay chosen, and keep radiating that divine light. You were never meant to be ordinary. You are the answer to a prayer someone else hasn't even whispered yet.